Welcome to Duck Season Somewhere podcast. This episode is brought to you by the following sponsors. For 365 days a year, it's duck season somewhere at Ramsey Russell's GetDucks.com. The world of duck hunting is way bigger than our backyard. The very best duck hunts in Argentina and Mexico are only the beginning. We specialize exclusively in 6 continents worth of proven waterfowl hunting adventures. Whether you're looking for a unicorn species or a fun trigger pulling vacation of epic proportion, we've got the right hunt dialed in. Real duck hunts and authentic experiences for serious duck hunters. As a genuine American duck hunter myself, I know the difference. Founded in 2003, GetDucks.com is not just what we do, it's all we do. I've been there personally many times. Our reputation speaks for itself. Anita and I are personally available to assist before, during, and after your trip because you deserve nothing less. Looking for something closer to home? The next great hunt is closer than you think. Contact proven operators throughout the U.S. and Canada at our U.S. hunt list. Explore worldwide duck hunting at GetDucks.com. All package details, photos, videos, stories, and thousands of client testimonials right there at your fingertips. GetDucks.com. Ball Shot Shell's copper-plated bismuth tin alloy is the good old days again. Steel shots come a long way in the past 30 years, but will never, ever be like good old-fashioned lead. No way. Say goodbye to all the gimmicky, high recoil compensation science and marketing hype, and hello to superior performance. Know your pattern, take ethical shots, make clean kills. That is the boss way. The good old days are now. It really is duck season somewhere for 365 days per year. Duck season somewhere takes me year-round to worldwide destinations where I visit with the most interesting people. I'm your host, Ramsey Russell. Join me here to listen to those conversations. Ramsey Russell, GetDucks.com, where it's duck season somewhere. Man, what a beautiful day in Mississippi it is today. The grass is growing, the flowers are blooming. The weather is spectacular. American flag flapping gently. Right there in front of the house. It's just a gorgeous spring day. You know, if you didn't know any better, you'd think the world was normal, but it's not. This COVID thing is weighing down on everybody. Guys, if you hadn't noticed, I've got a whole bunch of recordings done that we've been running on Monday, stretching back, but practically everybody in the world I know is sitting at home and hunkered down, and business and life has slowed down, if not grinded to a halt. Just reaching out to some friends of mine, and we're doing some recordings and talking about the situation, talking about nothing at all. Today's guest is my friend, Mr. Lee Kjos. How are you, Lee?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. What's the weather like in Minnesota?
Oh, man, you caught us on. I bet we haven't had a day this nice since early October. It's 53, sunny, no wind. I mean, it is like, it's gorgeous, right? I mean, it's like as good as it gets. And then you think about what's going on in the world today, and it's almost a surreal feeling how good I feel right now, right here at the farm. But man, there's a lot of bad shit going on, dude.
Surreal is as good a word as I can think of to describe the current situation. I mean, the last time I saw you, Lee, the world was normal. We were at Dallas Safari Club, and golly, the vibe was just unbelievable. You know, and wow, you know what happened? You know, it just out of nowhere in the last couple of weeks. It's like a dream.
It's like it's a nightmare.
You know, it's like at least if bombs were dropping, you know what the heck was going on. But to walk outside and pedal down the road and watch TV and wake up and just life and, you know, the simple things, it just seems normal. But there's something floating through the air. Has COVID
has COVID reached Minnesota? Is it going on? Is it active? I mean, y'all got cases and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we have I think I read this morning there's something like 500 and some cases here now, and a handful of deaths. And then, like, part of this surreal thing I'm talking about is then you read an article or whatever early in the morning, and they're talking about like what these numbers could look like in 2 or 3 weeks from now, and I'm like, what? Is that even possible in our country? Is that real? And then I get like, I can't even. I mean, I don't want to start a grease fire here, but I'm so disappointed in our government, dude. I mean, I'm so disappointed. Don't tell me that in this country, in the year of 2020, that we should not be prepared for a virus. I can't even fathom. I can't even fathom that we're not prepared.
Of course, the political parties are never going to let a crisis, big or bad, go without being able to politicize. I mean, they're not going to miss the opportunity to politicize everything. But I really don't point to a president or a presidential administration. A lot of these government agencies exist and persist forever. And what I see, I read a story last week where Mr. Steve Forbes hung it squarely on the shoulders of Center of Disease Control. That's their job. And I don't think it's any one body. I think what we're looking at in terms of our government and other governments is just the fact that these government agencies are so big and so bloated that I just imagine them like a big old fat gray tick and little old bitty legs where, like a turtle on their back, they can't move. They can't respond. They can't move quickly. But I really, truly have believed and seen and let myself believe that this particular administration has mobilized pretty dang quickly to try to respond and try to get an upper hand on this thing, in as much as you can in this day and age. It's just, but like yourself, I'm flabbergasted.
Me too.
That we're in, that anybody's in this situation. But I remind myself, and it's really no consolation, Lee, this isn't an American thing.
Oh God, no.
every person I know on Earth is affected by this right now. Their governments are reacting similarly. Their protocols are similar. Nobody's leaving their house but to go to the grocery store. Nobody's leaving their house to go to the beach. Most people are staying home from work. It is a absolute global. Everybody, Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, Peru, South Africa, Netherlands, Sweden, everybody I know, Azerbaijan, everybody's affected. Everybody.
Right. It's this one's going to get everybody, dude. I mean, this is going to touch everybody. That's, like I said, it just seems, the whole thing seems surreal to me right now. I can't even, I read, this is staggering. Okay, so, Deborah Bricks, the doctor who's on a lot, I like listening to her, and she said if all things go perfect right now, you're still looking at, 100,000 to 200,000 deaths? And that's if things go perfect. When I hear that, dude, in the whole Vietnam conflict, we lost 58,000. And
that was a lot.
Oh, dude, that's still to me is that whole Vietnam thing just kills me, which we could get into all kinds of, you wanted to talk rock and roll and John Prine and stuff like that. And I think of Vietnam all the time when I think of that era, but 58,000 in that conflict, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about 100 to 200,000 if it all goes well. I can't even.
The crazy thing, Lee, is here we are Mississippi, well, let's take the national survey, a couple of thousand folks, a couple thousand, 2,300 died. Seemed to be a certain demographic, predispositions, and different things like that. Last week we had Dr. Sam Pierce on. He's on the front lines of Mississippi dealing with it, and he kind of shed some light on how it affects and what it does. But the maddening thing is how insidiously slow. It's like this little bitty interest rate just growing incrementally. It's only 2,000, then it's 3,000, then it's 9,000, now they're predicting 100,000. And I hear folks, everybody is coping and grappling and trying to get their mind around it, in their own way, and it just, you can't. The common flu killed 68,000 people. 1 year, but this is different somehow, and I'll share this with anybody listening. Especially you guys that know my medical history. I'm vulnerable, and it's scary. I'm not. Oh, look, I'm not a chicken little sky is falling. When the good Lord says it's my time to go, hello Jesus, here we come. But it's still, I'm not really ready for it. I mean, I've had several physicians contact me and tell me to exercise extreme caution because of how this virus makes one's immunity respond and inflammation. It was described to me that basically, whereas my day-to-day existence is a thunderstorm, or Mississippi in July, a thunderstorm liable to break out at any time, this would be Hurricane Katrina crawling right up my ass. And so it just makes me a little leery, but at the same time, I'm still plowing ahead and doing my thing. But Lee, it's very, very hard to get my mind wrapped around it. Normally this time of year, I'm traveling and duck seeding somewhere. God only knows where you'd be right now if the flights were flying. I know you had to lay off a lot of projects, and it's just very, very. Why we're able to talk right now like we are is just surreal is as good a word as I can.
Yeah,
if I've heard to explain this.
Yeah, it's really, really quiet. It's really quiet right now. You're talking about like where would I be right now? Well, I'd be photographing. I'd be photographing or hunting snow geese somewhere for.
Yeah,
and I mean it's just cool. The photography, the big client work, the travel work. I mean that obviously got shut down a long time ago, and I'm thankful for my wife and I and our family. I have the farm, and I do a lot of work still here at the farm. But oh man, it's so different than what a normal year is. I don't.
Well, what's your daily routine right now? I mean, have you kind of fallen into a home routine?
Oh yeah, I'm like about as relaxed as I ever get ever. I mean, I totally like almost like when I'm up on we have an island, Bonnie and I do in northern Minnesota where we grew up, and when I get up there, I can after a couple weeks. I can like really start to unwind and chill. And that's kind of what it's like here on the farm right now. I mean, I draw every day. I do things that I haven't done for a long time. I mean, I sketch with a pencil a lot. I work on ideas. I work on new things for clients that I can bring to the table. And hopefully when and if we get out of this, I think we will. And, so I don't know. I just try to stay upbeat and positive and let.
Yeah, well, the world tomorrow's going to come. And yeah, I mean, that's all we can do. That's all we can do is what we can do. Lee, it's funny you use the word relax because that's kind of how I am right now. It's like normally in between trips, in between duck season somewhere, I had intended on being home for about 7 weeks, and that's enough time for me to get relaxed. And longest stretch of time I would have been home in 4 years. Well, now it's even longer, it looks like. And I'm just as, man, I have fallen into a routine. I'm with my wife. 2 of my children are home. And we've just kind of fallen into a routine, and we're a family, and we're enjoying catching up, and we're doing things. And Nita's piddling around in the backyard with her garden and her flowers and her bulbs and all that mess. And I go out and help her sometimes, but once a day I put on my headphones, I get on a bicycle, and I just go hammer out a bicycle ride to get some fresh air, and I feel good. But I'm just relaxed. And you know what I found myself doing is I'm no photographer like yourself and Jake Latondras, but I used to take pictures, and I have found myself with the time and wherewithal to go and dig through the boneyard, man. I've been on my computer. I've been digging up pictures I haven't seen in lots of years. I've been catching up in social media. I've been catching up with my web page. I've been reaching out, talking to friends I haven't talked to in 10 years to see how they are. And I'm just it's really kind of a relaxed crisis mode, if you ask me.
I tell you what, too, it's like my mother and father they've been gone quite a while, and they were from what Brokaw called, America's greatest generation. They were Depression kids, and then World War II. Dad was in World War II, and Mom worked in a war factory. So how they lived and how they took care of things and how they didn't waste. And I got to tell you, man, for the first time in my life, I look at things, am I wasting? I know this sounds crazy, right? But like paper towels, right? I wash my hands it seems like 100 times a day right now. And it's just, hey, don't use all that. Use this one. Or, and then you look at food differently. And then you think about this on a large scale, we have this doctor, well, probably a lot of the listeners are aware of who he is now, Dr. Michael Osterholm from the University of Minnesota, and his whole deal is pandemics, right? Or chemical warfare. I mean, he's into that, right? And he said a thing the other day that I thought was really, really good. And he said, people need to stop looking at this on a daily or day-by-day basis and really think about what your life's going to look like in 6 months from now. And that helps me get away from the reading the news early in the morning where it says in Minnesota there's like a handful of deaths right now, but then you read, you hear that whatever the big time players with Trump, on TV or whatever, the Dr. Fauci and Bricks, and they start throwing out numbers like 100,000 to 200,000, and that's where the surreal part gets to me. I hear that, and I'm like, how do we go from here to here in 2 or 3 weeks? I can't even imagine what that's going to do to the country, right? So I look at things way different.
What's going to do to the world? What's going to do to the world, Lee?
Man, yep.
It's like we are truly blessed. We are blessed to live in America. It's made me very thankful to be an American, to live in America, to live in our economy, to live in our the abundance of that economy affords us in terms of freedom, in terms of research, in terms of health care. As I talk to European friends that live over the European Union, what they're going through as compared to us. When I talk to some of our mutual friends, Lee, down in Argentina, I hear on our news them talk about a shortage of ventilators and a shortage of medical staff, and it concerns them and it concerns me. But then when I talk to friends down in Argentina, Dr. Sam Pierce said last week that there were 200,000 ventilators in America, that we're going to need more, Okay, so the American government goes out and commands General Motors to start making them, works with Ford to start making them, has worked with Carnival Cruise to mobilize mobile hospitals, that has got 3M making bacterial mask, has got the Pillar guy or somebody making face shields. There's all these industries stepping up and being mobilized to respond. And then one of my favorite countries on earth, Argentina, 14 million people live in the city of Buenos Aires, and there's about 600 ventilators. They don't have our economy. They don't have our ability to respond. And hey, even if you could call up another country to get them, guess what? They're in the same boat you are. They ain't got them to spare right now. That's just. I mean, how it's going to? It's like I can imagine. Worst case scenario, if I'm a very imaginative guy. I've got a rampant imagination, and I can imagine 6 months from now seeing my friends down there for the first time and hugging them like we're just emerging from war. And that it's hard for me to get my mind wrapped around on base where we all were just a couple of months ago at convention.
Yeah, unbelievable. That's I've been to Argentina like you a number of times and hung out in BA quite a bit, and I mean, I didn't know those numbers. I didn't hear that one, but knowing what it's like there and how densely populated that area is.
Oh yeah.
Oh my man, that doesn't sound good at all.
No, it doesn't. And they're on an absolute scorched earth lockdown. I mean, I say scorched earth. They are unlike us where, come on, man, we're American. We're American, right. And we have our freedoms. You think about the American cowboy. The American cowboy is one of the most iconic symbols for freedom worldwide. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
and John Wayne, baby, and other people don't have that freedom when people are being arrested for leaving their domiciles and going anywhere other than the grocery store in a lot of these countries. And we're not. We're American, and it could be good. It could be bad. You know what I'm saying? It cuts both ways. I got to tell you the story because Lee, you and I went down and hunted at Rio Salado, and it was like stepping back in the mid to late 1800s in duck hunting. We had such a great time. I enjoyed hunting with you. I knew you, but I'd never met you, never hunted with you, and it was like to share a duck blind with you. It was like meeting my long lost brother from a different mother. Really.
True.
Lee, where I felt like we really connected at a personal level was music. That's where I felt like we really kind of connected. You may remember, man. We get done hunting. It wasn't just pack up your bag and go. We had a lot to. We had a lot of ducks around up, a lot of shotgun shell holes. It might take an hour, and I turn on my iTunes and.
Three of my very favorites came on back to back to back, and I'm like, damn, this guy, he's got it going on, man. This guy's like a long lost brother of mine. So it was, I don't know if you remember who it was. It was Skinnerd, Marshall Tucker, and John Prine.
That's right. I mean, those three bands. See, when I grew up, we didn't have iTunes. I mean, of course, a lot of these folks listening remember. I mean, Lee, come on, dude. I'm speaking of digging through boneyards on my computer. You and I we're getting to be a couple old dinosaurs in the music world. I mean, and we ain't getting no younger either. Yeah. But it's like I'm in a time warp. I feel like I'm in just this time warp when it comes to music because the bands. I could drive from here to your house and back 5 times and never hear the same song on my iTunes twice, but it's all the same music I listened to since high school. It's all the same.
You bet.
You know, it's the same music. And I'll listen, man, my kids turn me on to some new music, but those guys ain't gonna be around like these other bands are. You know, I think my musical evolutionary trajectory plateaued at Kid Rock. And I really that's kind of it. And what made me think of that topic or this topic was I got this and I'll share it with you again. You know, I got back from Azerbaijan, this coronavirus. Okay, you know, bird flu, swine flu, Ebola. No. This looks like and man, it's very hard as a business owner that has poured every waking moment and sleeping moment, for that matter, for the last 20 years into a business like Get Duck. You know, you've got to be a realist. You've got to say to yourself, wait a minute, this could compromise every single thing I've worked for. If you let them crank down the American economy and us Americans like they have in some of these other countries, like they're doing in Netherlands right now, this could be the end of life as I know it completely entirely. And you know, I'm no pity party. I can tell you that, buddy. I'm gonna fight to the bitter end. And you know, anybody knows me knows that. But I tell you this story. I've got an outfitter down in Argentina named Diego, and he's another brother of mine. I mean, this guy is a crock wearing. Boy, he cusses like I do in a duck blind. He's a human. He is a duck killer with 3-inch fangs, and we connected at a different level. But again, on music, you get in the car with him, and it's my music. It's Guns N' Roses. It's Leonard Skinner. And last week, out of the freaking blue, now he and I and Martha, a lot of my Argentine folks, we've been talking, carrying on, just like I have a daily conversation with all my outfitters worldwide every week of my life. And so out of the blue, Diego sends me a YouTube clip, Kid Rock, Born Free. And, I've heard that song a million times, and I punched it, and I played it. And I went inside, and I got my headphones, and I put it in, and I played it again. Well, screw this YouTube stuff. I went and just listened to the song on loop for about 20 minutes. And it put me in the place I needed to be. Born free. Chasing dreams, racing father time. And I you know, Lee, I left federal government midway through a government career, totally bored to tears. I'd either drank myself to death or committed suicide if I'd had to see it out for 30 years. I'm just not cut out for that line of work. and the day I loaded my last box and put it in my truck and said goodbye, never to return again to that boring ass office, I came home. I took a shower, picked up my wife. We stopped and had barbecue ribs and went and saw Kid Rock. And he hit the stage playing Born Free. And man, it became an anthem of sorts because, you know, I knew in that moment I had done exactly the right thing by taking destiny in my own hands. And so I don't know. It's just funny how music, you know, affects you like that.
Oh, yeah. I can give you one right now. I think I sent you an article yesterday when I saw in Rolling Stone magazine, or a tweet from Rolling Stone, that John Prine was hospitalized with coronavirus and he was in critical condition. And I was like, oh, no. You know, not that, you know, lots of people are going through that, right? But then every once in a while, something like affects you, right? Well, to my wife and I, John Prine is like the deal, right? I mean, he's our favorite of all time, and it's not close, right? I mean, the first time we saw him was, I think, Orpheum Theater in Minneapolis in 1978, right? We were 18 years old then. And then we saw him through the 80s, and then most recently, a couple years ago, and he was older, you know, and I think we saw him at the State in Minneapolis. No, it wasn't the State. It was Northrop Auditorium on the campus, on the U campus. And, man, he was never better. And I've seen, well, you and I have talked about this a number of times. I mean, I've pretty much seen them all, right? From the late 60s and the 70s, those bands, I've pretty much seen them all live. And when you see them late in life, even though you love them because they're your bands, but they're a shell of what they used to be, of them former selves, right? Not prying. I mean, that dude was like, it was the most emotional live performance I've ever seen. And then at the end, he's playing Lake Marie, and he starts to dance in it, and he just dances off the stage. And, like friends like ours, our age and stuff like that, I guess you'd call Prine's following, it's almost like a cult following. Well, so like you were just talking about how music made you feel great at that moment. This one, what happened yesterday when I heard Prine was sick, made me feel bad. I mean, but I think that's the power of the music that you're talking about. It has the ability to do both, right? And then I just saw a notification, in here an hour ago, and now his wife said that he's in stable condition, so he must have turned the corner. And I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. So if you get the chance ever to go see him, you got to travel to go do it.
No, I've seen him. I saw, believe it or not, I saw him with a good buddy of mine out east, the late banker man, we called him. We saw him in the Jackson Auditorium, a small little acoustical, perfect for acoustic concert auditorium here in Jackson. And it's just, I've been listening to John Prine, since junior
almost
high
50
school.
years.
Yeah, since junior high school. It's folk kind of country.
Oh,
as I got older, what I realized about him as an artist is to see him in concert, he was just so human.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. He was so human, so down to earth. I cannot imagine walking up to a window to get a cheeseburger and a milkshake and bumping into John Prine and him being anything other than himself.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a cheeseburger and a milkshake. He's just a red-blooded American. But he's a poet of sorts. To be in that music, you got to be a poet. But
for sure,
he's a philosopher. He's a poet. He's a human. And his music. It's been among a handful of first albums, then cassettes, and then CDs, and now iTunes. It's just been a handful of music that I've always had on hand to listen to. And it's just, I can't remember the word Jake used. A song came on. We were listening to music when he was in Mississippi a few months back, and he said something. I can't remember what is that your secret stash, or is that your secret music? Is that the music you listen to when nobody's around? I can't remember what he called it. I said, no, man, that's John Prine. Are you kidding? And it really kind of brought this freaking invisible virus home that an American icon like John Prine had fallen prey to it. That hit me home.
Yep. Prine is much like the singer-songwriters from that era. They all had something to say back then, and most of it centered around anti-government and the Vietnam War. Most of it did. And if you listen to their music, it comes screaming in that. And I look at this period for us right now here. We're at war right now. And I don't mean that disrespectful to those who have served. And I mean that seriously. I don't like to use the word war or battle or any of that, because it's disrespectful to those that serve. But I do look at this, and in one sense is like, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, we're we're all in this together right now, man. All of us.
The whole world. We all.
It don't matter, dude. It's us. It's us against that thing right now. So that is the way I look at it.
Well, I'll say this. Since high school, that time warp I'm in, the Eagles.
Yeah, you just saw them a couple weeks ago, didn't you?
Oh, I did. God. Well, let me tell you how I ended up seeing the Eagles. My wife, who is just golly, man, my soulmate, and man, am I blessed to have a woman like that in my life. But she, a couple of years ago, maybe it was just last year, she wanted to go see Elton John, Sir Elton John. I'm like, get out of here. Never mind the fact I know every word of every song you played. I mean, I've heard it a million times. I mean, it's Elton John. Come on. I would never go and see him in high school, but I went. That's what a good husband does. You go and do things with your wife, and we loved it. It was awesome. It was a great performance. That little guy, man, I didn't realize till I saw him on stage out there how short he was. And he's old. It's like watching this little 80-year-old man. Oh, when he hit those piano keys, and that started something, Lee. It started something because that was his last performance. That was the last time I would ever be able to see him live. I'm glad I did it. It was a great performance, and I have not been to concerts since at least college. So 25 years I have not been and seen a live concert. Boy, has that environment changed. It's smoke-free entirely. Smoke-free entirely.
No lighters?
No lighters. Everybody's holding up a cell phone like a bunch of aliens instead of big lighters.
Oh, instead of a lighter.
And then you go, you can buy liquor, and it's expensive, but you can buy liquor. You ain't got to bring your own in, and it's just, and here's what gets me is, everybody in the audience is my age. They're not a bunch of young hellions no more with long hair. It's just my age folks, and so I said, that was kind of cool. I've always wanted to go see. I heard Kiss was making a tour. In 1979, I saw them in Jackson, Mississippi, first rock concert I've been to, and I cannot imagine turning my 12-year-old kid loose with his 12 and 13-year-old buddies loose at a rock concert.
Weren't they something?
Back in those days, you could.
Well, you saw Kiss in full dress in '79.
I did, but guess what? I saw them last year again in Birmingham, and these guys have got to be in their 70s, and there was this big, massive curtain hanging, and the music started, the hottest band in the world, and when that curtain dropped, the fireworks and the cannons and everything just bam, bam, bam started, and those dudes come down and they're full regalia. Gene, during that, he spit blood and he blew fire, and Paul Stanley floated across the crowd, and man, my sides hurt the last day from laughing and having such a good time. It just and I said, okay, let's go see Bob Seger. I always wanted to see that dude, man. Look, man, Kiss, Bob Seger, the Eagles, Eric Clapton, and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Those 5 albums, they're live versions of those 5 albums since high school. At no time in a truck have I ever been without those 5 music sets to get me through. And John Prine, you can throw him in there. I've always had them at a crutch for when I'm driving. I'll turn it on, and depending on how late it is and how tired I am, depends on how loud I'll sing along with them. If I'm by myself in a truck, I know that's my music, man.
Yep, that's your go-to.
That's my go-to. So we went and saw the Eagles, and that was what was so crazy. I got back from Azerbaijan. We were home for a few days. We drove down to Dallas. And I can remember, it was an incredible concert. And look, my wife, we got a rule about in this little concert stretch we're doing here lately. She don't tell me how much some tickets cost, because if she does, if she does, it's gonna ruin the experience for me. When the Eagles did their big final farewell tour with the original members,
Mm-hmm.
I was in college, and I refused to go because they charged an obscene amount of $75 for a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And that was absurd. I had never paid more than $14 to see anybody, and that was just highway robbery. I refused to go see it, and I regretted it. I regretted it when Don died. I regretted it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when he died, I said, "Man, you screwed up there, boy."
Mm-hmm.
And but we went and saw him, and it was funny because I didn't see nobody. I didn't see nobody under 30 years old. It was an incredible concert. They did a really good show. Vince Gill.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn Fry's son were both on stage, and they were incredible musicians. Everything what I'd hoped it'd be. But you know, I can remember it was sold out. Of course, there in Maverick Stadium, it was sold out, and we just even up and down the aisles, we were kidding about, "Don't be coughing on me!" Ha ha ha! You know, it was all just, you know, this COVID thing was just a joke.
Right.
It ain't a joke no more. You know,
no.
I wouldn't get in that crowd right now to save my soul. And but I was glad I went. I'm glad I got to go see them. And I hope one day the world will regain normalcy and I can go see some more of these cats. You know, I hope if John Prine recovers and tours again, I can go see
Me
them.
too. Me too.
You know?
Yep.
What are some of your of all the bands? You know, I've seen Marshall Tucker a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
They've been you know, their music is such, their band has been reincarnated so many times, so many. I think their total band member list is in the high 30s or low 40s. How many people have come in and out of it? But I mean, what's some of your go-to default listen to a million times music?
Well, I mean, there's big difference between studio albums or live albums or seeing people live. You know, I mean, but
no doubt.
I mean, I always go back to Skinner, Tucker, Zeppelin.
Yeah, Zeppelin.
You know, I mean, really, some live concerts I remember like that were just outrageous was like Sabbath in '75, and I was like maybe no more than 15 yards from them, Ozzy, and those speakers, and oh my God, dude, were they loud. I mean, my ears hurt. So I would have been 15 years. That was summer 1975. I think it was Parade Stadium in St. Paul. It was Sabbath, and I mean, my ears hurt for weeks.
In a good way.
Damage. Damage. But hell, back then in the 70s, I had damage from all kinds of stuff, you know. But and then I saw Skinner like 4 times live. They were my favorite live band to see. They were a great live band. You know, you mentioned something like Anita got you to go see Elton John. Here, I mean, it's been a while now, probably 10 years, 12 years or so, 13 years, something maybe. I was in Saskatchewan hunting for a month, and Bonnie, my wife, called me and said, "Come home. I bought tickets to see Simon and Garfunkel."
Oh,
and I'm like, "Come home from Saskatchewan? Really?" You know, and I'm like, "Oh, whatever." I did. I came home. I think it was around Halloween. And I came home, and honest to God, when we got in there and they started playing, it was for sure one of the best things I've ever seen in my life live. And I think what it does is it just brings you back to a time and place where things were just a lot different, for a lot simpler times for me then. I don't know, just music in general though. But I've seen some. Here's a good one. It was in Duluth, Minnesota, back in the It was ZZ Top. It was the Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers tour. It was Tucker, Jay Giles Band, and ZZ Top. And
wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then we got, some dudes came up into the bleachers there and gave us backstage passes, and we went back there and hung out with them after that. And I don't know, that was, I think, 76, I think. Something like that. Summer of 76. Oh, yeah, it was super cool. but those old shows, those old concerts, back then, you know, there were bands, right? There are no bands anymore. They're gone. They're dead.
No.
There are no bands. So back then, they were all bands, and they all toured. And when they toured, that's when they made their money. They didn't make money on studio albums. The record labels made that money. But they made their money when they toured, and they all toured. So every couple weeks, there was some band playing, right? Could have been Ted Nugent. I remember when Boston first hit the scene. Then it was the Eagles, and it was Leonard Skinner. Then it was Zeppelin, and the Who. All that stuff was, I mean, they all played. You know, so back then, I mean, and what were they, $8?
Yeah.
$8?
I paid $10 to go see Kiss in 1979.
Right, yeah.
$14 to go see Foreigner in the mid to late 80s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a different time. I guess.
Oh,
I guess the internet and digital age and Napster type stuff is what killed rock bands. I guess technology is what killed it.
What changed it? I don't know how that. I don't know. Maybe, but it changed how people, for sure, listen to music. I mean, do you remember the album covers? I mean, we knew who the band members were. We knew because we read it. Yeah. We read everything there was to read about them. You know?
Yeah, you're right, man. It was just a whole different time.
Yep.
You know, it's a whole different time and a whole different place. It you know, hindsight 2020. It's kind of like I guess like my grandparents felt looking back at Norman Rockwell drawings on Life magazine or something. You know, it was just a whole different time. But I don't know. It died. Like, you know, you want to talk about a buzzkill. We left that Eagles concert, called an Uber, and went to the hotel, and some guy, our Uber car pulls up, driving a tiny little old car. He got his hair gelled up like a shark fin down the middle, and we get in, and I don't know what he's listening to. It could have been Justin Bieber. I don't know what kind of music that was, if it was music, but he called it music. Turned on the radio, and it started, and I'm like, it was like, what is this? How do you leave the Eagles concert and step into this? You know, you need to turn that radio down, sir. You're killing the whole vibe here. You know, what passes as music today is anything but music. It's just noise.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah, it's awful. I mean, I find some that I like here or there, but I always go back to the old stuff.
And you hem haul around a lot about the old Southern rock classics and stuff, and I guess that's really kind of my thing too. You know, first time I saw Kid Rock, I've seen him twice. He came onto the stage in Jackson, Mississippi, and you know, and I really was embarrassed. I used to say to go see him. I'm thinking, man, I ain't gonna be up with a bunch of young whippersnappers up in here. No, it was all people my age up in there mostly, and there were big lighters busting out, and he came on stage with the opening sound was Freebird.
Yep.
Freebird. And he right in the middle of Freebird, he transitioned and went through all his set, and then by midway he picked back up with Freebird, and he transitioned more into his music, and he ended with Freebird. And buddy, let me tell you what, you want to talk about a glow inside that Coliseum. Man, there were some lights going on that. There's of course, we got them old rednecks there in Jackson, Mississippi, had them lighters going too, and their phones. But that was an incredible performance. He really did a good job, and he kind of hits that genre. I know he goes through some of that stuff, but he really kind of fits that Southern rock mold.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, not too bad for a Detroit boy.
Nope, he loves it.
Have you seen the on Netflix? They got a ZZ Top little documentary. It's pretty darn good.
No, what is it?
I don't know. ZZ, just go through the. I don't know. Go through the documentary. ZZ Top. I guess they call it ZZ Top. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I learned a little bit about them, and but I really did. Their biggest claim to fame was an album that came out my senior year in high school, 1984ish. But I really liked the old ZZ Top. That was
me too.
I liked the old bluesy ZZ Top. That's what I got into. Still do.
Right. No, me too. That first one was fantastic. Yep. Well, what do you got coming up?
Lee, I don't have.
You can't travel.
No, Ben, I tell you what, I am an absolute. I always complain. Oh man, I can't wait to get home and get off the road. Well, I've been here 3 weeks, and I'm starting to feel like a free bird in a cage. And I'm ready to stretch some wings, and I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed, but really and truly, we're right now, we're in a very unprecedented type mode. Our strategy, we have met over the last couple of weeks with all of our outfitters in South America, New Zealand, Australia. I've got a couple of them coming up for scheduled podcast. I've even reached forward far enough into January, February, early March into my Mexican outfitters. We have all developed a contingency plan of action to take care of clients. I mean, we sent out a big email blast you might have gotten that just told everybody, hey, look, we're aware of this COVID, who isn't? But take care of yourselves, take care of your business, take care of your families, take care of your health. And when the health situation and the quarantine situation and flights begin to resume, your hunt will be redeemable at no cost. There's no penalty, no nothing. Just the world will return to normal, and we look forward to seeing you on a duck blind. Hey, somebody, Martha's husband Fede made an observation the other day, and I had not thought of this. Rio Salado, 130 square mile marsh. You remember how good all those ducks down there last year?
Oh boy!
Consider this: an entire year without a shot fired in that marsh.
Oh boy!
And ducks beget more ducks beget more ducks. It's going to be it's potentially going to be something worth waiting for.
It's pretty
seasons.
You got to admit, it's pretty much like that right now. I mean, they don't see anything down there.
But just imagine all those tens of thousands of ducks that don't get killed this year.
Oh boy,
having babies.
Oh boy,
it's gonna be full to the brim.
That place it really is. It's unbelievable. It's
slide off into time, But until then, Lee, I'm really taking advantage of the opportunity to be at home for extended periods. There are, when you own a business and you do stuff like this, there's always something to do. There's always something to do.
Yep.
And so slowly but surely, I'm making rounds through Get Ducks. Our website has probably around 1,800 unique pages. And I'm just making the rounds, man. I'm going through and building a work list and going through and update photos and update copy and update keywords and fixing broke links. Just it's a very massive undertaking, but you pick at it and I'll say this: it is easy to it's very easy, and I do not believe. I believe that nearly everyone that might be listening to this recording, they or someone they know is being infected at some level. being affected at some level by this pandemic.
Oh yeah, this one's going to get us all.
We're no different. I'm no different. You know what I'm saying? I worry. I'm worried.
Oh yeah,
it's the nature of my business, my personality. I worry, but it's just I remind myself that GetDucks.com, as the world knows it, was born and forged and built 10 years ago in the last down cycle. And that housing crisis was economically, not all this quarantine stuff, but economically, it was far more severe, especially under the current presidential administration that let it languish forever. It was far more severe and far-reaching economically than this is so far. And yet we were able to build it and to weather the storm and to emerge on the other side. And I'm going to use this opportunity to catch up and refortify the wall, so to speak. And you know, it's like driving a big old ship, like a big old ship. I'm just going to patch the sails and caulk the boards and just make this thing a little more seaworthy. That's all you can do. But Lee, you've got to believe, as a duck hunter, as a human, as an American, there's going to be a tomorrow. And I just know there will be, and I'm just going to, by gosh, keep on working, man. That's all you can do.
Yep.
That's all you can do. How about yourself? What do you do in this? Are you out there helping be with the hospice?
No. No. I mean, sometimes I get out there, but that's her bag. That's her duck hunting. You know, that's her deal. Her farm and her gardens, and that's her bag.
Oh, it shows. It's one of the most beautiful yards I've ever seen, man. She has got one of the most beautiful gardens I have ever seen.
Oh yeah, she's good at it. No, I like. Like I know you mentioned like go through old images. I have like, you know, raw shoots to go through, and I go back and I revisit them. I make art for magazines and work on covers that I never really get to work on much. Do that, and there's always Boss stuff. I work on Boss every day. Work on art, you know, like original art for Boss, and like drawing, you know, working on new programs that are coming up that I can launch this summer weekend, this summer, early fall, and I don't know, just keep, like you said, keep on keeping on. You know,
keep on, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get up. We're gonna come out of this, and you know, one thing I'd like to, you know, work on, you know, on a personal level, I need to work on is being, you know, tolerant and patient, and I think, you know, right now, I think the whole world needs a whole lot of that, you know, common decency and reaching out to those that we can help when we can help. And, hell, it's America. There's always something that we can do here. We're Americans, and we come out of things like this on top.
We don't need a bad president I said that wrong. We don't need a president with a bad hairdo to make America great. All Americans need is a crisis, and Americans are great. And you know, and I have found that one of the best ways to help myself is to help others. You know, it feels good and it's productive to help others, to pay it forward, so to speak.
Yep. You know, it is there are other things like that are coming out of this that I look at that I find really refreshing in an odd way. And one of them is I don't listen to the president. I listen to the people, good people that he's surrounded by, or other people that are out there. I don't listen to the president. I don't miss sports one bit.
No.
One bit.
Same here.
I find it refreshing that I don't have to hear from Hollywood people on what their opinion is or what they think, because this is far larger than anybody's opinion. So don't you find that refreshing? I mean, I haven't heard from Oprah. I haven't heard You don't hear anything. Nothing.
No,
all we do is hear from experts. That's what I want to hear from.
One of the best meme type things that I have seen go around social media in the last few days is how finally the world realizes that what actors and Hollywood and all those celebrity types think don't make a phooey. The people that are pulling us through this right now are farmers and medical workers and teachers and firefighters and first responders and people. They're finally getting the credit for holding the fabric of society together that they deserve.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not all these freaking pop musicians and all this mess.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Go get on the stage and entertain me. Play a song, boy.
What's going on? Yeah.
Go throw the football. It ain't important. It ain't important. I agree entirely with what you just said. I agree entirely with that. And but Lee, we're gonna make it through this. It's just hey man, unusual times call for just you got to tighten your belt and plow through it, man. That's all we can do.
Okay, so I'm gonna get the white elephant out right here right now. So on a selfish note, are we going to get this thing? Are we going to be okay by duck season?
Whew, I don't know. I really think so. I think so, Lee. I truly. I'm heck, I'm a duck hunter. I'm an optimist. I've been through my past. I've been through those dark places I've been through in the past. I'm an optimist, man. I see light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, we're going to be through it, and I think we are. I really, truly think we are. I think that whole flatten the curve business is, the downside of flattening the curve is it takes longer. I mean, there's two axes. There's a y-axis, and that's the number of people being affected, and there's an x-axis. I may have them back, or I think I got X and Y wrong, but you got two axes. You got number of cases, and you've got duration. And if you mess with one, you affect the other, right? And if you push that curve curve down, it lengthens the timeline. And but yeah, I think we are. I think late July, mid August. I think we're going to be. Now I heard Bricks this morning. What I heard her say was. Either she or Foster one were saying it was probably going to be, we were probably going to hit the peak in 3 weeks. That she said 2, I said 3. So in about 3 weeks, and then okay, so let's just say 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Let's just round up and say in 4 weeks we hit the top of whatever that curve's going to be. And then let's say 6 weeks on the backside, so 10 weeks. Let's say I'm just making stuff up here, but let's just say 10 to 12 weeks out, we've tapered off. Okay, here we go. They're now we're looking at 3 months. May, June, July. We ought to start emerging. But now what I wonder is a physician that called me the other night just to give me a long, educated explanation of what he called cytokine storms, which is how your immunity responds to this by generating cytokines, which are inflammatory media in your body, and how this virus elicits a big cytokine response. But besides that, what he was telling me, he knows a lot more about it than I do. Everything I know about these kind of viruses would fit in a slap full brand new snuff can on top of the back would say not much, but it's a but what he said was, he said, now look, he says this thing is not going away ever. He said, but what you're going to see is that it will continue to evolve as. Maybe it will continue to be as contagious, but the symptoms and the effects will continue to evolve away, to become milder. Because you think about this, Lee. Just imagine this. Imagine something came out of nowhere. This novel virus came out of nowhere, and it killed its host. Well, then, if we all locked ourselves up for 30 days, everybody it affected is dead, that disease is dead. But you see, it's run itself into extinction. And so he believed, and I've heard this saying, if you read around, and I don't mean Facebook, if you kind of read around, try to get some credible intelligence, listen to podcasts, whatever like that, they believe it's going to evolve itself. It's just going to kind of sort itself out to become less worrisome than it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, I do believe this. That whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever, I do believe that on the other side, our healthcare systems globally will be better prepared for the big one.
Mm-hmm.
The big one. I just ordered a book yesterday. A close friend of mine, I've been buddied with this guy, he and Munn, for 30 years, and he wrote me out of the blue and recommended a book from an author named John Barry, who wrote about the big flood. It was a book called Rising Tide, about the big 1927 flood in Mississippi when the levee broke. Very, very good author. Very, very, very detailed kind of guy. But he wrote also a book about the Spanish flu called The Great Flu that I ordered. That's my kind of read. So I'm trying to educate myself a little bit more on this subject. But I don't know, Lee. I don't think it's going to hurt duck season. But I can tell you this. Can you imagine the waiting line at just the local restaurant when people stick their head back out?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think people are going to be out in spades, man, when we get through this. I mean, people are going to not take anything for granted. I think they're going to go do things. I think they're going to, yeah. I mean, I sure hope so, man. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to this next 3 weeks, I'll tell you that.
No, I'm not either, but I know we'll get through it. And on that note, we were talking about our buddy John Prine.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of my favorite songs he wrote was Souvenirs. I like the lyrics of it. It relates to me, and the lyrics in that song talk about memories can't be bought. They can't be won for free at a carnival.
Yep.
That just over the year, it takes years. It takes a lifetime to earn those souvenirs, and eventually they just slip away into the past. And I'm gonna kind of leave this long podcast recording. I'm gonna leave it at that because I do believe that and I've always kind of substituted the word scars for memories. It fades. It's in the past. We earn these memories. We earn all those little battle scars over time. And I'm an optimist, and I believe, guys, that at some point in time, months from now, we're going to look back and it's going to be just another souvenir you can file away.
Right.
We all went through this COVID thing together. The whole world did. That's what blows my mind. The whole entire world, every person on earth went through this thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, isn't that the truth? Like I say, Lee, we're all in this one together.
Lee, I'm gonna call you in a couple of weeks, and we're gonna get you back on a podcast, and I know you, man. We'll come up with something else good to talk about. And
hopefully not this.
Hopefully we'll get to talk about it in the rearview mirror. But
that's right,
guys. I appreciate everybody for listening. I appreciate your time. Thank y'all, Mr. Lee Kjos, Ball Shot Shells, and Kjos Photography is on the line. I appreciate y'all's time to listen. And hey, if you get a chance, subscribe, rate us, comment. Hit me up in my inbox at Ramsey Russell Get Ducks. Let me know if you got a future topic or what your thoughts are on some of these encouraging podcasts. Thank y'all for listening. Duck season somewhere. We'll see you next time.
Duck Season Somewhere is produced by Ben Page. Original soundtrack by our friend Cody Huggins.